Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Jodie Jenkinson, and I'm here on behalf of Biomedical Communications to tell you a little bit about our program. In some ways, it's very complementary to the TRP program insofar as our concerns are with communicating health and science and problem solving within that domain. So what is biomedical communications? So biomedical communications is a 2-year graduate program, a Master's of Science program at U of T. It's offered by the Institute of Medical Science. It's the only program of its kind in the country. There are a total of 4 throughout North America, and our focus is strongly on the visual communication of science and medicine. So within our program, students study a range of different technologies in order to support communication and problem solving. So they learn storytelling using 2D and 3D animation, which they're taught in the program. As well, we have a focus on information design and data visualization in which students learn to create visual displays that address different problem areas. As well, we teach interactive media, and students problem solve in this area, looking for innovative ways of engaging the audience in different subject matters. So in this case, this is an application by one of our students, Brendan Pauly, that uses a natural user interface, so the hand rather than the mouse. And it allows the user to interrogate a 3-dimensional space, again, using hand gestures rather than the mouse. Are you actually seeing the video, or are you just seeing 2 slides here?
Just 2 slides.
This is problematic. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and exit. Okay, so one moment. I thought that might be a problem. It's not. Zoom isn't giving me a 2-screen display. So just a second here. This should fix the problem. Okay, so let's try that again, shall we? Still not giving me, sorry about that, just a second here. Okay, I'll try this again. Okay, can you see the demonstration?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks very much. So again, this is a demonstration that uses a natural user interface so that the individual can use hand gestures to navigate this, in this case, comparative heart anatomy, and gain a better understanding of it. So we are a 2-campus program. Again, we are offered by the Institute of Medical Science on the St. George campus and share space with the Translational Research Program. But the majority of our facilities are based in the Health Sciences Complex on the Mississauga campus. So who are the students who come to BMC? So we're always looking for students who are fascinated by science, who have a strong background in science, but who are also visual thinkers and enjoy looking at science through a visual lens and have that interdisciplinarity that they can actually travel between those domains of visual communication, which is typically thought of as a sort of an art or illustration background, as well as science. So if we look at the students who came into BMC this year, the vast majority of them are science undergrad students. We have 19 students this year, of whom 3 have bachelors of fine art, and the others are all ranging from environmental science, neuroscience, to biology and biochemistry. So life at BMC is always interesting, always changing. We have a large space with 2 state-of-the-art labs. So our students essentially live in our space during the year. We have a course-intensive program, 17 half courses with a capstone project, much like the TRP program. So the capstone project includes developing something on your own or possibly in a team where you're trying to solve some sort of problem that benefits from visual communication. Our curriculum includes many science courses, anatomy, neuroanatomy, molecular biology, and pathology, as well as many courses that are targeted at teaching you illustrative techniques, animation, design, 2 and 3D modeling, as well as interactive design. So here's an example of coursework in surgical illustration. Our students attend surgeries and document the process, and then typically they create illustration or animation either for a patient audience to educate them or for a professional audience as a training tool. As well, our students, when they study biochemistry, create visual layouts that address different either pathologies or different molecular processes. And they get a lot of experience there in 3D modeling. We also, as I mentioned, teach information design and data visualization. So this is a growing area in our field that many students are being employed in. And our faculty of expertise that ranges from biochemistry and 3D modeling to graphic medicine and creating graphic novels for health education or professional practice. So within the program, we have several areas of specialization. Again, health humanities, graphic medicine, cell and molecular visualization, UX, UI design, patient education, or professional education. We also have some students who engage in scientific exploration, typically in paleontological reconstructions for institutes like the Royal Ontario Museum. So there's a very, very wide range of projects that are undertaken in the program. So here is an example of a graphic medicine capstone project by student Caitlin Chang, who created this graphic representation for a trauma therapy program at Women's College Hospital. And this is currently being used in the hospital to explain to patients, fight or flight responses to stress, to trauma, and how to cope, different coping mechanisms for that heightened level of arousal that people experience when they're under stress. So this originally was a text-based document that this student then worked with the committee at Women's College to develop a graphic representation of that. And it's been very, very successfully used within the trauma therapy program there. Here's an example of an animation.
Brain, capillaries are surrounded by the blood-brain barrier, which plays a crucial role in maintaining brain health.
You can't see it?
The blood-brain barrier is highly selective and prevents pathogens.
Did you say you can't see it?
No video, no.
Oh man, this is awful. Okay, I'm just going to carry on. So we do, as I said, we teach animation. So often students will be paired with clinicians or research scientists at the university to create representations of their research, either for peer-to-peer communication or for outreach to the general public. And here's another example of a project that was developed by Alex Young that looks at twin transfusion syndrome, which is a terrible condition that occurs sometimes in monochorionic pregnancies. And what Alex did was to create a module that could be used for training in the surgical skills lab to train clinicians about how to address this, because there are very, very few training opportunities for clinicians. So this is a simulator of sorts. And then I have another animation, which of course you're not going to be able to appreciate. Which looks at public education and outreach.
Let's talk about the flu
and influenza.
But first, let's clarify.
So I'll skip over that since you can't see it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the admissions process, because BMC has sort of an unusual admissions process. So you apply through SGS. And what we ask for a 4-year degree minimum with a 3.0 GPA, which is a mid-70s GPA in the final 2 years of study. We have the typical required courses of English, humanities, or social science. We also ask for biology, molecular biology, and or histology and physiology as prerequisites for the program. But the unusual part of the admissions process is the portfolio that we require. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. So the portfolio is to show us that you can communicate visually and that you have some level of experience there. We also asked for references, letter of intent, and all of these details are contained on our website, bmc.med.utoronto.ca. So here's a case study from a portfolio submission this past year, a student from UTSC with a bachelor in neuroscience. And here's a self-portrait that she created, a digital self-portrait. She created a portfolio of many required pieces that we have. So here's an example showing tension. So it's a painting of an individual putting a glove on, a surgical glove. And the objective of that is to demonstrate the conceptualization of an idea. So you can see she's shown it in a step-by-step format as well. And also to show tension between two structures. Here's another example of some of her work. We ask for observational work. So this could be, sketches that you do on the subway, or it could be life drawing, or it could be going into a museum and sketching structures, objects, artifacts there. We just like to see that you can replicate what you observe, as well as illustrating what you cannot observe. We also ask for cross-sectional illustrations. So this is the kind of challenge you would typically be faced with in molecular illustration or surgical illustrations. We like to see that you can look at an object from different perspectives. So you're looking at ochre here and communicating the internal structure of that. The other illustration shows it's sort of a how-to sequential illustration, and we ask for students to submit that too. So here, the demonstration is a complex task that requires manual dexterity using a sequence of images. And in this case, the student mostly used monochromatic colors, grayscale, but then highlighted the tie in red and using blue arrows to indicate how to tie a tie. And these are very simple things, but they show us that you can communicate or tell a story. And here finally is an example of Naomi's view through a window. We typically ask for this illustration because it allows you to explore illustrating several different textures as well as different levels of perspective. So the things in the foreground are very detailed and have a lot of contrast, whereas the view through the window is lower contrast, fewer textures, and you get that sense of atmospheric perspective. So these are things that we like to see in the portfolios. So what can you do with a Master's of Science in Biomedical Communications? Well, Toronto, we're lucky, has the highest concentration of medical illustrators in North America, and probably very likely in the world. And in part it is because of our program being in Toronto and it seeding many companies, as well as the pharmaceutical industry in Ontario. So we host career days for students where they're introduced to people from industry, and they get an opportunity to practice interviewing, to practice explaining their work and how they came up with a process or how they solved a problem. A number of our students go into different fields, for example, service design. We have a couple local service design organizations that provide problem-solving services for the healthcare industry. So Bridgeable is one, Coactuate is another. Some students go into the animation industry. Our program has actually seeded a couple companies, 2 or 3 companies locally that were founded by alumni. So Access Studio is one, TVA Surge is another. It's a company based at Toronto Hospital where the employees there create typically 3D animations that explain surgical procedures for training purposes. As well, students go on to further education, either doctoral programs or additional graduate programs in different countries. So again, what do you do with a degree in biomedical communications? You can go into illustration, interactive design. Some students go into game design or AR and VR design, scientific animation, information design and data visualization. We also locally have a company that offers medical legal illustration services, and it goes on and on. It's a field that seems to be growing at a very, very rapid pace, and I think in part that has to do with just the changing nature of society, but also the past couple of years have really shown us with COVID the importance of science communication, how very, very important it is to understanding. So we have a really strong alumni association. They're wonderful. They host monthly events and workshops to keep people communicating with one another and to connect everyone. We also have a very strong association of medical illustrators based in the United States, and they hold annual meetings in which we all participate. So we have a very, very strong community and a very strong network, and we're very lucky for that. So typically we receive around 100 applications per year. We admit 18 students, and this year for admission, our final year's GPA average was around 3.9, and that's not meant to intimidate you at all. It's just meant to show you that it is a competitive program, so grades are important. Our domestic tuition is $11,950, and our international tuition is $40,610 this year, and it just keeps going up, unfortunately. So if you want to apply, you go through the SGS admissions process, and we are receiving applications from now until December 17th for fall 2022 admission. If you'd like to know anything else, you're welcome to visit our website. You can contact May Doyle, who is our program administrator, our graduate coordinator, or you can contact me as well. We're also very active on social media, Instagram and Twitter at MSCBMC. And at this time, if you have any questions at all, I would be very happy to answer them.
Yeah, if you can place your questions in the chat or Q&A for Jodie.
So we will be holding a number of recruitment sessions over the next month. November is pretty busy for us. So just keep an eye on the calendar. We post these on social media. So we have another one coming up in a couple of weeks through the Institute of Management and Innovation. And if you just follow us on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see announcements for those if you're at all interested. Okay, thank you for your time.
Great, thank you so much.